Okay, looking at a New Holland tractor aircon for one of my customers. I think it's gradually got worse. What we've noticed is the cap's missing off of here, and this was all dusty. I've cleaned it off. It's all dusty and oily looking, and that's all dirty in there, so I might get some brake cleaner or something and squirt it in there, see if we can clean that out. So what we're hoping is it's just weeped out of that connection where the caps fell off. So suction liquid line, they come across the top of the engine, down there they all look dry. There's our compressor. Is that Sandon? Oh, I don't know. That looks dry. It's no, you know, you've got O-rings probably here and here or something. It's like a swash plate compressor, I think. I think that's, you've probably got five or seven radial pistons, and then you've got a swash plate that, as it goes around, sort of wobbles, and then the conrods are on each. It's a bit like a hydraulic pump. Yeah, so we've got a dryer, a little sight glass in the top, pipes down here, and come around the front. So that's our condenser. I expect this whole slides out. Probably it's got channels here. It probably slides out so you could wash all the radiators out. Because it's got a channel. I bet you pull those pins, slide the various oil. That's a intercooler there, condenser, probably an oil cooler or something. Then you've got your radiator behind for the engine. So you can probably slide these out, and you can get in there with a hose or something, airline, wash them out if it's been in a dusty environment. But what I'm getting at is none of the pipes look oily. The condenser looks dry, so we don't think we've got a leak in there. And you get decent proper condensers on these, like you'd have on a fridge system. On this bloody microchannel rubbish they get in cars. Anyway, we get that cleaned up, get some gauges on there, fire it up and see what it looks like. The other thing, I mean, the hoses do disappear under the cab. They come around here. That's them running along the top. Got a big thingamabob on the back. And they probably disappear, I don't know where. Up inside the back, it's wherever the aircon is. That is favourite. Well, that is a leak. So hopefully that's just the only one. No, it's got 100 psi, which is 31 degrees, which is, it could be a bit low because we don't know. It's quite cold outside at the moment, but the engine's really warm. Obviously he's been running up and down the field with that cultivator thing on the back. So we will, I don't know if it's worth putting the high side on yet. It's a shame I haven't got one of those caps. Anyway, we'll fire it up and have a look in the sight glass on there, see what it looks like. Okay, well that's only dropped to 76. So, is it running? No, it's not. Another issue then, might not be a gas leak problem at all, it might be something electrical, which is a bit out of my area really. Yeah, don't seem to be a lot of air movement in the cab either, so probably the filter's blocked up, or the evaporator, but that shouldn't stop it running. Okay, what have we got coming out of those vents? It actually feels warm. It's going up 78 Fahrenheit. Doing my Warren impression. 90. Yeah, what's that in there? 37, yeah, they're doing that. One is feeling hot in here. And that's with that turned down low. We've got the button in, which I think is aircon on. Got the fan on high. Yeah, there's more going on here than yeah. So minimum it's got like a heater valve. I'd had before, so on a Fiat tractor years ago, the heater valve was not shutting. That one, the aircon ran, but the heater valve wasn't shutting, and it was always letting hot water through, so it was more than the aircon could cope with. I think that might be, I don't know what that is, but that's a full width, so I'm wondering if that's an air filter, because there's a lot of whistling noise coming from down here. That might be the air inlet for the air conditioning. Probably a filter in there full of shit. But yeah, they're gonna need the tractor fitter on this, I think, because they're gonna need somebody who knows what they're doing. Otherwise I'll be here all day and it still won't be fixed. Another vent down that side. Not what coming out of there. Turn the fan up high, a tiny bit of movement. One of the things to check with these air conditioning compressors, if I can remember how to talk, is difficult to see on this because the wheel's in the way, is the air gap, which you've got the pulley with a belt on it, and then the front plate here gets pulled in by the magnetic coil, and there's a gap there, which I can't remember what it should be. It's not very wide. But as that pulls in, because it's metal on metal, every time it pulls in it wears away a tiny bit. Eventually it can wear so much that the gap's too big for the magnetism to pull that in, and you can find that they're energised, and then you push them with something and they will go. Although I think a lot of the new compressors, they don't have a clutch on them. I think a lot of the new ones are variable displacement, and they just set the displacement at 0, so it's always going round, but it's not doing any pumping. I think some of the VWs have them, because I've heard the valve that regulates that can play up, and then the compressor won't load up. Yes. Okay, we've got the same pressure either side. I just thought I'd check it in case it had a blockage and somebody put way too much gas in and it was off on the high pressure switch. But I think the original drop is probably just where the air's gone through the condenser and cooled the condenser section down to ambient temperature. And then that's why that dropped from 100 down to 70, because that's slowly creeping up as it's sat there warming up again. So I think it's more of a control issue than a refrigerant issue, so we can certainly check the refrigerant when it's running, but he's going to need to get the tractor fitters out to look at it. This is beyond my level of competence. So if it was your own kit, you wouldn't mind spending half a day messing about with it, but they're paying you to be knowledgeable, and when you're not, you're better off paying somebody else, and you're better off doing something else. He's going to get a cap for that, so it might not have lost anything. It just doesn't seem to run. I've got a plug dangling there, doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, so if the heater was, if we didn't have hot air coming out of there, that'd be one thing. The other thing I would be checking for would be whether we've got power at the compressor. I might have a look at that and see if we've got a plug we can unplug, and then when we turn the aircon on, we could see if this is getting a signal to run. I don't know if it'd be 12 or 24 volt on this, and if it is, and if it is getting a signal and it's not coming in, we could ohm out the coil, see if that's okay, and then it could actually just be the air gap. So you could have an issue where you've got a problem with the circuit on this, and the problem where the heater valve's letting by, so it could be two things at once. Okay, we've got the plug unplugged for the clutch coil, and I've got these little pins. I've got a flute set of various test leads. It actually cost more than the meter, but they've got these little thinner pins, so when you check these things you don't deform the slightly bigger pin in there, you can bend it, and then when you put it back on, it won't have a very good connection. So they've got these really little thin pins. So I'm just going to probe that and see if we get voltage on there, and then we know the controller is asking us to run, but it isn't. Then we can ohm out the clutch, and if that's okay, it might well be the air gap, but they're more into getting the tractor fit to do that. That's beyond me. I don't want to start taking bolts off of things. It works at the moment, so the worst it is, they're going to be too hot, which is better than being broken. Okay, we didn't have any voltage on there at all, so it's not even asking it to run, so something's gone screwy somewhere. Last tractor I worked on, I think had a mechanical stat on it, but I dare say this one's probably got some circuit board in there somewhere. We did notice we've got a new bit of hose here for the clamp, that's getting warm, so I'm assuming that's the coolant line. And then we've got a little bit of a joint there. They might actually say that, they might have just spliced that onto where the end of that hose was rubbed out. Yeah, that's probably what that is. So I was just thinking somebody could have took a heater valve out or done something, you know, winter time and forgotten about it. But no, they probably just had a problem with that hose this end and replaced the short piece rather than tracing it all the way back. Right, that's it I think.